Tonight, severe storms slamming the Northeast. Authorities say a boy struck by lightning in New York Central Park. A tornado warning near Philadelphia. Ground stops at airports. Flights canceled tonight. Damaging winds, lightning, and heavy rain along the I-95 corridor from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, New York to Boston. Winds gusting more than 60 miles per hour. Hundreds of thousands without power at this hour. More than 500 flights canceled. Multiple airports issuing those ground stops. The storms and then more than 200 million Americans bracing for extreme heat. It'll feel like 105 degrees in New York City. Lee Goldberg has the forecast. Also tonight, the new statement from President Trump on Iran. President Trump huddled with his national security advisors in the Situation Room for the third day in a row. His new timeline at this hour for any possible direct action against Iran. And tonight here behind the scenes, what sources are telling Martha Raddatz, the concerns and this 30,000-pound bomb that is one U.S. option. It's been tested, but never used in war. Also tonight, here in the U.S., the explosion of the test pad.
Ship 36 just blew up.
A SpaceX Starship erupting into a ball of flames. The blast rattling homes miles away. What Elon Musk is saying about this tonight. Also developing the tense scene outside Dodger Stadium. Dozens of federal officers in masks and tactical gear positioned right outside the gates. The LA Dodgers tonight saying they denied the officers' entry. Protesters quickly gathering. Trevor Ault is there. Tonight, you will hear from the 9-year-old girl surviving a terrifying shark attack in Florida. The surgery to reattach and save her hand. And this is remarkable. Tonight, the deadly plane crash in the Northeast, a small plane going down right into a neighborhood. Dramatic body camera video showing officers racing to save a car full of people that plunged upside down into the water. And tonight, the image is seen around the world. The driver taking his car down the famous Spanish steps of Rome. It did not go well.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Thursday night. We do begin tonight with severe thunderstorms up and down the East Coast. Authorities say a boy struck by lightning in New York Central Park. A tornado warning near Philadelphia. Ground stops at major airports, more than 500 flights canceled. And as we come on the air tonight, hundreds of thousands are now without power. Lightning, damaging winds more than 60 miles per hour, and heavy rain moving up the I-95 corridor. Some of those storms slamming New York City, seen moving in over the Manhattan skyline and across the East River there to the Brooklyn waterfront. Police say it was a 15-year-old boy who was struck by lightning in Central Park. Tonight, they say he is alert and conscious. The system spawning at least 12 reported tornadoes damaging a sports park in Jacksonville, Illinois. And massive flooding as well, shutting down I-40 in both directions. This is right near the North Carolina-Tennessee border. And right behind these storms, more than 200 million Americans bracing for extreme heat. It'll feel like 105 degrees right here in New York City. Lee Goldberg has the forecast. He'll take us right through it. And ABC's Stephanie Ramos tonight with the images. She's right here in New York City.
Tonight, a severe weather system sweeping into the Northeast, bringing potentially damaging winds and flooding. Storm cells dumping buckets of rain on New York City late this afternoon.
We're getting a couple calls at 5th Avenue and East 96 and someone struck by lightning. Coming in the park.
Police saying a 15-year-old boy was struck by lightning in Central Park, near Manhattan's Upper East Side, adding he was alert and conscious after the incident. The storms forcing ground stops at airports in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Newark this afternoon. Hundreds of flights canceled, thousands delayed. Winds gusting to more than 60 miles an hour. More than 500,000 households without power in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. The system leaving a trail of damage as it crossed the central U.S. Heavy rain and winds downing tree limbs in Indianapolis.
Right there! Oh!
At least 12 reported tornadoes across 4 states since Wednesday afternoon.
Oh.
This section of I-40 near the Tennessee-North Carolina border inundated by floodwaters. Authorities say it'll be closed for at least 2 weeks.
David, here in New York City this afternoon, we've had spells of extreme heat alternating with those powerful storms. Much of the Northeast expecting similar conditions tonight. David.
Stephanie Ramos here in New York. Stephanie, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg of our New York station, WABC, tracking it all. Lee, these storms right into the evening and right behind it, dangerous extreme heat.
David, skies are darkening behind me right now. Within the hour, we're going to see these storms get into New York City. There are severe thunderstorm warnings over parts of New Jersey right now. A volatile afternoon in the mid-Atlantic, and it continues in the evening, all the way from Virginia up to Maine. 60-mile-per-hour gusts. There have been some damage, lightning strikes, homes, injuries. We have to deal with this through the early evening hours. Tomorrow, the severe weather is going to shift to the northern plains and the Midwest. In the severe zone is Bismarck and Fargo and Aberdeen for destructive winds and large hail. The front causing those storms, it lifts to the north. It opens the floodgates for the heat as we go into the weekend. It'll feel like 108 in Omaha, 106 in Minneapolis on Saturday. Blazing heat that spreads into the northeast over the weekend. We're talking triple-digit feel-like readings in D.C., New York, and Boston. It's the start of a heat wave into next week, probably record highs as well. David?
Yeah, extraordinary feel-like temperatures there. We'll have to take this very seriously, Lee. Thank you. Return now to the new statement tonight from President Trump on Iran. The president huddled with his national security advisors in the Situation Room for the third day in a row now. His new timeline tonight for any possible direct action against Iran. And tonight here behind the scenes, what sources are now telling our Martha Raddatz the concerns and this 30,000-pound bomb that is one U.S. option. It's been tested but never used in war before. But first, Mary Bruce with what the president is now saying about any potential direct U.S. action against Iran.
For the third day in a row, the president hunkered down in the Situation Room, deciding whether the U.S. will take direct action against Iran. This was the official statement afterward, read in the briefing room.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
I asked the press secretary if there's no progress in the next 2 weeks, does that mean the U.S. will bomb Iran?
Is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
Is he seeing any signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
What makes him think there's still a substantial chance?
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale. The president believes that, but that's his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
The White House today stressing that Iran has everything it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon, saying once the supreme leader gives the go-ahead, they could complete production within a few weeks. A source familiar telling ABC News a key factor weighing on the president's decision, the time needed for additional U.S. military assets to arrive in the region to defend American interests if needed. It could take several more days. One carrier strike group still in Virginia. But the pressure to make up his mind only growing. According to a source, the president is troubled by the deep divisions in his own party about what he should do, hold out for negotiations or join the attack. One key ally who's been urging restraint, Steve Bannon, spotted at the White House today. Tonight, one source telling us Trump is trying to psych himself up, convince himself that whatever he ultimately decides to do is warranted. The president's new 2-week timeline to decide, a blow to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been desperate for the U.S. to join Israel's ongoing assault on Iran. In the last 24 hours, Iran striking back. Video circulating online showing the moment a ballistic missile hit a major hospital in Israel, smoke billowing into the sky. Tel Aviv struck too. Our Ian Pannell is there.
Dozens of Iranian missiles fired into the heart of Israel's biggest city. You can see the destruction to the building here.
Tonight, Netanyahu pressed on Trump's decision.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment.
And David, all of this is coming as European leaders are expecting to meet tomorrow with the Iranians in Geneva. One senior official telling us tonight the president hopes this 2-week timeline will, quote, give the Iranians some room to come to their senses. But David, make no mistake, the president still has this high-stakes decision to make, and he's now given himself a deadline to make it. David.
Mary Bruce asking the questions there in the briefing room today. Mary, thank you. Let's get right to Martha Raddatz with new reporting as well tonight. We heard Mary report there, Martha, that part of the calculus here includes the fact that the U.S. is still rushing assets to the region. And Martha, something you've been reporting on today, this 30,000-pound bomb. We know it's been tested, but it's never been used in war before.
Exactly, David. This bomb, the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or MOP, can only be delivered by the B-2 stealth bomber. The 30,000-pound bomb can penetrate deep into rock and has been tested successfully numerous times, but has never, ever been used on the battlefield. The U.S. has used the smaller Moab, the 22,000-pound bomb, with success, blowing up caves in Afghanistan. But if the president decides the U.S. will hit the Fordo nuclear facility, it will be the first time it has been used. So there are some concerns about how effective it would be in an actual strike, since much is not known about Fordo, but there would likely be several of these bombs launched because of the uncertainty. And of course, David, the U.S. still wants to get all its assets into the region. David?
Martha Raddatz back in Washington for us again tonight. Thank you. Now to that dramatic explosion of a SpaceX rocket ship during a pre-flight test in Texas. Look at the images tonight. The Starship on the test pad erupting into a ball of flames, the explosion rattling homes miles away. And tonight, what SpaceX CEO Elon Musk is saying about the blast. ABC's Maria Villarreal in Texas tonight.
Tonight, the stunning images from a SpaceX pre-flight test.
Whoa! That's no!
The Starship erupting in a series of massive explosions.
Ship 36 just blew up.
Those staggering flames filling the South Texas sky. SpaceX was preparing for a routine static fire test, loading fuel before igniting Starship's engines. They believe a pressurized tank exploded, setting off a series of blasts.
Fire department inbound.
The test site has already been cleared and there were no injuries.
You could still hear some of the popping.
Although it's not yet known how much damage was done to the launch area.
Oh my God, I'm shaking.
SpaceX was preparing for Starship's 10th flight test. The previous 3 ending with explosions. Here, blazing debris streaking across the sky in the Caribbean after one Starship experienced a catastrophic failure. The incident forcing flights to reroute, the FAA requiring SpaceX to investigate what went wrong.
David, early this morning, Elon Musk seemed to refer to this explosion as, quote, just a scratch on social media. But, you know, Starship's success is crucial to his eventual goal to try and send humans to Mars. David?
Those were extraordinary images today, Maria. Thank you. Now to the tense scene outside Dodger Stadium in L.A. Dozens of federal officers in masks and tactical gear positioned right outside the gates. The L.A. Dodgers tonight saying they denied the officers entry. Trevor Ault is there for us.
Tonight, tense scenes at Dodger Stadium. Dozens of federal officers in masks and tactical gear seen right outside the gates, protesters quickly gathering as well. The LAPD called to the scene. The Dodgers saying in a statement those agents requested permission to access the parking lots. They were denied entry to the grounds by the organization. But DHS responding, saying this had nothing to do with the Dodgers. Customs and Border Protection vehicles were in the stadium parking lot very briefly, unrelated to any operation or enforcement. It follows days of heated clashes between law enforcement and protesters, with President Trump sending in hundreds of Marines. ICE continuing to ramp up operations across Los Angeles County. This video today showing an agent chasing a man down near a Home Depot, detaining him, and agents also raiding this car wash in Glendale, as the administration vows they will increase deportations undeterred by protests.
David, the Dodgers have drawn criticism for remaining silent during these escalating ICE raids, but the organization is reportedly planning to announce initiatives supporting impacted immigrant communities. David.
All right, Trevor Ault on this for us tonight. Trevor, thank you. We turn to that horrific shark attack in Florida, and tonight we are hearing from the 9-year-old girl who survived the attack. And tonight her doctors described the surgery to reattach and save her hand. Victor Akendo from Florida tonight.
Tonight, that 9-year-old shark bite victim and her doctors sharing remarkable details on the attack and how they were able to reattach her hand that she nearly lost.
Something hard bit me and then it tried to take me away. Then I pick up my hand and it's all in blood.
It was just last week, officials say a shark bit off most of Leah Lindell's right hand while she was snorkeling in Boca Grande on Florida's Gulf Coast.
It was almost completely gone, in that second, and there was so much blood in the water.
Leah airlifted to Tampa General Hospital for emergency surgery. Doctors there performing the operation in less than an hour after she arrived, saying they used blood vessels from her leg to help restore blood flow to her hand.
That was key to the success of this, stabilize the wrist and be able to stabilize that base so that we could then work on getting blood flow back.
X-rays showing the extent of the wound, much of Leah's hand detached from her wrist. Doctors inserting temporary pins to stabilize the area. Her family saying Leah can now move her fingers.
I didn't think there was any chance at all of saving it, and I'm just so thankful to the surgeons for making such a miracle.
Doctors say Leah has a complex recovery ahead, but because she is so young and still growing, she actually has an even better chance of recovering. David?
We are all pulling for Leah tonight. Victor, thank you so much. Freed American Israeli hostage Idan Alexander has returned home to Tenafly, New Jersey tonight to a community waving and welcoming him home. The 21-year-old captured during the October 7th Hamas terror attack was freed last month after 584 days in captivity. He was the last living American held hostage. When we come back on the broadcast, the deadly plane crash in the Northeast, a small plane going down right into a community and what we've learned. Also, dramatic body camera video showing officers racing to save a car full of people that plunged upside down into the water. There's also news tonight about the death of beloved Food Network host Anne Burrell, what the FDNY here in New York is now saying about that initial emergency call in a moment. Tonight, there's been a deadly plane crash near the airport in Beverly, Massachusetts, north of Boston. The small plane going down in the street just after takeoff. One person on board was killed. Another is in critical condition tonight. You can see the debris there on the street and in the trees. No one on the ground was hurt. In Seattle, the images tonight, police racing to save 6 people in a car that had plunged into the water following a police chase outside Seattle. Body camera video showing officers trying to pull them from Puget Sound. Authorities say the driver was initially speeding and refusing to pull over. The car at one point going up to 120 miles per hour, then driving off the dock. 2 people were killed, 4 others, including the driver, hospitalized. When we come back here tonight, the death of Food Network host Anne Burrell and what the FDNY here in New York is now saying tonight about that initial emergency call to 911. And the big news tonight involving the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, the big change. To the index of other news tonight, new reporting here on the death of popular Food Network host Anne Burrell, who was found dead at her home in Brooklyn, New York. The FDNY now says it responded to an initial call of someone in cardiac arrest. She was unconscious and unresponsive when they arrived. Authorities, of course, are waiting for the autopsy to determine the official cause of death. To a stunning sight in Rome tonight, video showing a driver driving his car down the famous Spanish Steps in Rome, getting stuck along the way there. An 80-year-old driver behind the wheel, authorities say reportedly confused. He tested negative for alcohol, perhaps making a wrong turn there. The fire department removing the car with a crane. The steps built back in the 1700s were not damaged. Back here now, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders say they're getting a 400% raise. After years battling for a pay hike, the news was revealed in the streaming series America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders. Their pay had already increased from $200 to $400 per game following a lawsuit settlement in 2019. They say this raise is 4 times that amount. One of the veteran cheerleaders calling the new raise, quote, life-changing. When we come back, America marking this day. Finally tonight here, America Strong from Texas to Tennessee to Georgia, so many honoring Juneteenth. And we remember what Opal Lee, called the grandmother of Juneteenth, told us about this day. Tonight, across America, a country commemorating Juneteenth, the day 160 years ago, enslaved people in Texas learned they were free. From Galveston, Texas to Savannah, Georgia to Knoxville, Tennessee tonight, communities coming together. 14-year-old Layla Jordan in Knoxville and her sign Juneteenth, honoring the past, inspiring the future. In Washington, D.C. today, hundreds lining up inside the National Archives to see the Emancipation Proclamation. And in Dallas, the Dallas Historical Society displaying the only known surviving piece of paper of General Order Number 3. That order, posted by Union troops all over Texas, declaring all slaves are free and have, quote, absolute equality. It would come 2.5 years after Abraham Lincoln signed the proclamation. And in Fort Worth, Texas today, hundreds joining Opal's Walk for Freedom. Of course, honoring Opal Lee, who you met right here on this broadcast, called by many the grandmother of Juneteenth. And we remember what Opal told us about the importance of coming together on this day. She said, under our skin, we're all the same, so we have to be in the business of helping each other. So true. I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.